Okay, so today's main idea of today's lesson is how to find slope. So we've talked most of the year, or a good part of this year, about how a line grows. We're changing that word growth to slope today. And so for the remainder of the year, and probably the remainder of your mathematical years, you're going to always refer to the growth of the line as slope. And that's what you hear your teachers in high school refer to it to as well, is slope. So when we talk about slope of the line, we talk about how the line is pitched. So how steep is it? So if you think about like the roof of your house, or if you're driving around Grand Island with your parents, or you're walking around town, you'll look at the roof lines of different houses, and some are steeper, so their slope is more than a house that doesn't have a steep of a roof. So I've drawn some lines here on a graph, and I'm just going to go through some examples about how to find slope on these lines. So the best thing to do, so I'm going to start with this red line here, is to pick 2 points that intersect your grids on your graph. So I can see there's one here, and then I can see there's another one here. And then we draw in what we call growth triangles. So I'm just going to make a triangle that goes from here to here. And so we've made a right triangle. And then we can look at the length of the sides of that triangle. So the length of this side is 1, and the length of this side is 3. So then when we talk about slope, or it's a rate, a lot of times it's referred to, it's always the change in y divided by the change in x. So when I look at this, the change in y, so this line went up 1 and over 3. So my change, or my slope for this line, is going to be 1/3. So we would say m is 1/3. I'm going to look at my blue line now. It clearly has a different slope. So as you see, this line has a positive feel to it. So we know that this line is positive, or the slope of this line is positive. This line is going down. So we know for sure that this line is going to be negative. So it looks like there's an intersection point here. And then there's another one right here. So that I can use those 2 points to make my triangle. And I'm going to think about the growth. Excuse me. Oh my goodness. I'm going to think about how this line is moving. Well, we know it's going down. From this point, we went down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, a negative 5 units. And this one we have 1. So we would say the slope for this line is a negative 5 over 1, or just negative 5. This last line I want to talk about, what do we notice about this line? Well, it's flat, that it doesn't have a slope. So it's like a flat road or a flat highway. So the only thing we can say about this line is that it does not have a slope. So if we would make that and put that into our slope-intercept form, we wouldn't have a slope. So the x in this case is 0. So we would just say this line is y equals negative 5. So the other thing that we're thinking about now, so since we have a slope, so in my blue line, we had a slope of m equals negative 5. And so then what do we do with that? Well, then if I go back and look at my graph, well, this line starts at 7, it looks like. So that's my beginning. So if you remember our formula for our linear pattern, which is now what we will call slope-intercept form, is y equals mx plus b. So this is our slope, and the b is our y-intercept, if I knew how to spell. So if I know that my slope is negative 5 and my b is 7, I can write a rule for that line. So now my rule is y equals negative 5x plus 7. This negative 5 tells me that the line is going to go down. If I look at my red line, I'm going to look first well, I've already made the phi on the slope, and then I'm going to look where it intersects the y-axis, which is 0, 3. So for my red line, my slope was 1/3, and my b, or my beginning, my y-intercept, was 3. So the rule that I would write for that is y equals 1/3 x plus 3. And on our black line, if we remember looking at it, it didn't have a slope. So if we think about that, so if m equals 0, and then I think about where it intersects the y-axis, that was at -5, if I remember right. I can still make this into an equation using this y equals mx plus b form, or y-intercept, slope-intercept form. So it's going to be y equals 0x minus 5. Well, 0 times x is 0, so when we simplify that, it is y equals -5. So hopefully that will help you through your assignment today, through those matching and through the escape room.